Hello everyone, my name is Evelin Lindner. I'm the founding president of the Human Dignity and Humiliation Studies Network and one of the initiators of the World Dignity University Initiative. I would love to share with you one area of interest that I have in my work. It is the role of dignity and humiliation for conflict. I have written 3 books so far. I'm working on more now, and the second book that came out in 2009 is Emotion and Conflict: How Human Rights Can Dignify Emotion and Help Us Wage Good Conflict. And I would like to read to you very briefly something from this book. I share in this book some of my experience that I had when I worked as a clinical psychologist. And I think many of you who work in the same area or social work area have experienced this. Imagine you are a social worker and you are called and that the woman is being beaten. And you go in and you see that she is bruised, that her life is even in danger, and you explain to her that domestic chastisement is no longer allowed, it's now called domestic violence. She doesn't have to succumb to that, and her husband should not perpetrate it on her. So you suggest that the husband's behavior humiliates her, and you urge her to develop a healthy rage as a first step toward collecting sufficient strength to change her life for the better. In your eyes, this situation clearly represents a destructive conflict loaded with hot and violent emotion, and you wish to contribute to its constructive resolution. And what happens now? I think many of you have experienced that. In many cases then the woman is very exhausted and she seems to listen to you. And then you visit her again, and what does she say? She resists your help and she argues, "Beating me is my husband's way of loving me. I'm not a victim. It's all my fault. I bring it upon myself. My grandmother taught me that arrogant women sin against divine traditions. We have to respect our traditions." And her husband, of course, adamantly refuses to be labeled as a perpetrator. He accuses you, the social worker, of viciously disturbing the peace of his home, of violating his male honor. To him, there is no destructive conflict, no suffering victim, no violent perpetrator, except in your mind, the mind of the social worker, a third party. And when we, extend this story to the international level, we cannot help remembering the South African elite and its defensiveness about apartheid. They said, look, the black citizens in South Africa, they have such a good life, much better than the black people in the rest of Africa, they would say. You also think of the current attention to so-called honor killings and how this practice has recently moved from the more neutral category of cultural practice to the accusatory category of violation of human rights or harmful cultural practice, or the Indian caste system that has only recently been renamed Indian apartheid. And you will always observe that such framings, unsurprisingly, will not meet with friendly acceptance from the supposed perpetrators. So who has the right to call a situation a conflict? The husband says there's no conflict, and you, the social worker, the third party, brings conflict. So who has the right to define a situation as a conflict or not conflict? And what is the path from there? Where to go? Who is right and where to go? Where to find a way? And this is the topic of this book, and I would love to share your reflections on this topic with you. Thank you so much.